우리가 지난 8일 날 이곳에 와서 기자회견을 했을 때 일반 언론도 많이 취재를 해갔습니다. 그리고 우리의 강력한 규탄 의지를 피력했습니다. 그랬음에도 불구하고 필립 골드버그 대사는 퀴어 행사장에 가서 오히려 저들을 지지하고 우리를 혐오하는 발언을 했습니다.
Last press conference at the 8th at this place, we have held our press conference and many of the press have recorded us. And we have strongly condemned Philip Goldberg. However, Philip Goldberg went to the queer festival last Saturday and he has pronounced his support for queer.
이는 동성애를 반대하며 우리 대한민국 헌법을 지키려고 하는 다수 국민들을 모욕을 주고 우리 한국 문화를 묵살하는 오만한 태도인 것입니다. 그리고 그가 싸우겠다고 말하는데 그가 말하는 인권은 편향된 인권이고 우리 대한민국에서 보편인권으로 인정받을 수 없는 것입니다.
Philip Goldberg has said that he supports queer human rights. However, that is not the human rights that the typical Koreans support. We have strongly condemned him. However, he has made his speech at the queer festival, which insulted and showed his arrogance against ignoring the Koreans, the typical Koreans who does not support homosexuality.
많은 대한민국 국민들은 미국과의 우호 관계를 바라고 있습니다. 그리고 미국 대사가 북한 핵 문제와 북한의 인권 문제를 해결하기 위해 노력해 주기를 기대하고 있었습니다. 그런데 뜬금없이 동성애를 지지하고 그들의 인권을 위해서 싸우겠다고 하는 망발을 일삼았는데 이는 대단히 잘못된 것입니다.
Many Koreans who support U.S.-Korea alliance have been expecting the U.S. ambassador to support the end of North Korean nuclear issue and North Korean defector human rights issues. However, Philip Goldberg has been showing support for human rights of the LGBTs, which most Koreans do not agree with.
제가 미국 대사관 페이스북, 트위터 그리고 골드버그의 트위터 그리고 미국 바이든 대통령의 트위터에다가 한영 영어와 영어까지 되어 있는 성명서를 계속 트위터하고 포스팅했습니다. 여기에 대하여 미국의 일부 사람들은 골드버그를 공격하고 있다는 식으로 표현을 하고 있는데 이는 한국민의 정서를 잘 이해하지 못한 어리석은 태도인 것입니다. 이 기자회견이 공격하고 있다. 골드버그를 공격한다.
I have posted many English translated statements on Biden's Twitter as well as Goldberg's Twitter. And they have mistaken us that our press conference is attacking Goldberg himself. However, that is not the truth. We are condemning the homosexuality of the U.S. ambassador.
우리는 대한민국 내에서 우리 법을 존중하고 또한 첨예한 이슈가 되어 있는 동성애 문제에 대해서 미국이 중립적인 입장을 취하기를 기대하고 있습니다. 그런데 바이든 정부는 일방적으로 동성애 진영을 옹호하고 두둔하고 있으며 오히려 정당하게 합당하게 반대하는 국민들에 대하여 오히려 반인권 세력이라는 프레임을 씌웠는데 매우 불쾌합니다.
The U.S. government has been framing us that we are anti-human rights, and we feel very, very sad about, very disappointed about that stance, because we expect the U.S. to have a neutral stance over this issue. However, they have been showing a biased opinion supporting homosexuality, and we are very, very disappointing at this stance.
우리 국민들은 지금까지 한미동맹을 견고히 해왔고 또한 한미동맹 정신이 훼손되지 않기를 바라고 있습니다. 그런데 이번 골드버그 대사 임명을 통해서 미국에 대하여 우호적인 시각을 갖고 있는 많은 한국인들이 실망감을 갖고 있고 미국에 대하여 반감을 갖도록 만든 것은 미국의 잘못된 외교 정책 때문임을 분명히 지적하지 않을 수 없습니다.
We would like to make it clear that the mistake that the U.S. government, the foreign policy have made us very disappointed because a lot of Koreans who are pro-U.S. Korea alliance have been disappointed by this decision because many Koreans do not support homosexuality.
우리는 필립 골드버그 대사의 잘못된 지명과 임명을 강력히 규탄하고 속히 본국으로 돌아가기를 바라고 있고 한국과 미국 사이에 계속적인 갈등을 야기하고 있는 골드버그 대사의 행동에 대하여 매우 유감스럽게 생각하며 앞으로도 계속 좌시하지 않고 싸워 나갈 것임을 이 자리에서 엄숙히 선포하는 바입니다.
We are strongly displeased by the U.S. foreign policy that has been obstructing the relationship between Korea and U.S. Over this homosexual issue. So we strongly condemn the U.S. embassy, and we strongly urge the U.S. Ambassador Philip Goldberg to return to his home country.
네, 이상으로서 제 모두 발언을 마치고 이제 한 분씩 소개해서 발언을 듣겠습니다.
Rounds to hear about other statements.
네, 감사합니다. 통역해 주신 박예나 자매님 감사합니다. 통역은 여기까지 하고 나중에 영어 성명서 읽는 시간을 또 갖겠습니다. 자, 이제 마지막으로 성명서를 낭독하는 시간을 갖겠습니다. 오늘은 특별히 영어 성명서 먼저 낭독하고 두 번째 한국어 공문 성명서를 낭독하는 시간을 갖겠습니다. 방송으로 시청해 주신 여러분 널리 이 영상을 퍼뜨려 주시기를 바랍니다. 영어 성명은 앞서 통역해 주신 미국 대학생 박예나 자매님께서 성명서 낭독해 주시겠습니다.
Statement condemning U.S. Ambassador Philip Goldberg. Is the U.S. Biden administration trying to destroy the U.S.-Korea alliance and to interfere in domestic affairs by appointing a gay ambassador to South Korea? We strongly condemn Ambassador Philip Goldberg for participating in the Seoul Queer Parade and urge him to return to his home country. We held a press conference at 11 a.m. on the 8th at this place. With the statement reading, we condemn the appointment of Philip Goldberg as the new ambassador to Korea and the U.S. policy of LGBT cultural imperialism, which destroys the strong U.S.-Korea alliance. However, just as if he would ridicule our demand, the newly appointed ambassador visited in person the Queer Festival booth prepared by the U.S. Embassy at around 3:45 p.m. on the 16th and said that he wanted to be a part of the festival, even though he had just arrived in the country. United States is strongly dedicated to ending discrimination in any place and to ensuring that everyone is treated equally with respect and humanity. He said on the stage, "We simply cannot leave any of you behind. We are with you. We are going to fight with you for equality and human rights." We cannot help but feel utterly displeased and offended by his reckless remarks. His speech is just filled with U.S.-centric arrogance without even fully understanding the situation of Korea. His remarks call into question whether the purpose of his appointment as an ambassador to Korea is to resolve the North Korean nuclear issue or to defend homosexuality. If you continue to despise Korean people and think that with you occasionally giving carrots of hardline messages to North Korea, we will be so thankful to you that we will recognize homosexuality and enact equality law here, you are greatly and seriously mistaken. This is such an arrogant attitude which offends the majority of Koreans. What kind of hatred and human rights violation is Goldberg referring to? Unlike the United States and the Western Europe, LGBTs in Korea have never been persecuted or their human rights violated. They are enjoying their sexual freedom according to their individual tastes, and we couldn't care less about what they do with their bodies. But the ambassador has come out of nowhere to make a statement that he, on behalf of the United States, is here to end discrimination and hatred. Does he not realize that such an absurd remark as an ambassador causes nothing but an insult and anger of the Koreans? It is highly doubtful whether the human rights of the LGBTs in South Korea, which Goldberg says he cannot leave behind, are even comparable to those of the dying North Koreans, or even those of North Korean defectors who have been forcibly repatriated to North Korea. This utterly biased and subjective remark can only be made by someone who has no idea what consequence he will face. He's declaring a war against the majority of Koreans who are against homosexuality, equality laws, and anti-discrimination laws. It is such a shame to see an ambassador siding with only a group of people and considering the rest who do not agree with them as enemies to fight against. This is clearly a case of imperialistic interference in domestic affairs, which violates the constitution and sovereignty of South Korea. Ambassador Goldberg should immediately and publicly apologize to Koreans. Once again, we express our deep disappointment and concern over the U.S. disrespecting Koreans repeatedly. We are also deeply concerned about the fact that the strong ties between Korea and the U.S. are starting to crack over gay issues. Most Koreans who have considered the U.S. as their strong ally are against homosexuality. However, they feel greatly disappointed and betrayed by the repeated posting of rainbow colors on the embassy front wall, the installation of a booth at the Queer Festival, and Goldberg's unacceptable remarks on LGBT rights. What makes the United States push for LGBT rights and to completely disregard the protests of people? Why are they constantly disappointing the pro-US Koreans? Perhaps this simply shows how depraved and corrupt the once Christian nation has become. Or perhaps this reveals the imperialistic attitude of the U.S. constantly ignoring the voice of so many Koreans. Whatever the reasons may be, we want to make it clear that South Korea is neither a country under a dictator nor a racist country like South Africa, but a country with advanced democracy which is very open to foreigners. Therefore, Goldberg's public remarks of his pro-LGBT stance and disregard for those that are against LGBT movement is improper enough to infuriate so many Koreans who are fighting against it. In short, it is simply wrong and unacceptable for the Biden administration to appoint Philip Goldberg as an ambassador to Korea, so he'd better leave the country. As the saying goes, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Likewise, when in Korea, do as the Koreans do. Abiding by Korean law, our country does not approve homosexuality, and our constitution does not approve same-sex marriage. Hence, Ambassador Goldberg should apologize to Koreans, majority of whom are against LGBT movement. He should also fight for the real violation of human rights, such as forced repatriation, not those of the LGBTs. Once again, we urge you to stop the recklessness that does nothing but undermine the U.S.-Korea alliance established and entered into on October 1st, 1953. We also urge you to honor the Article 36(1) of Korean Constitution, which recognizes traditional marriages and provides that marriage and family life should be established and maintained on the basis of the equality of individual dignity and sex, and the state should guarantee it. Therefore, any U.S. foreign policy in Korea which goes against Korean sentiment and could eventually lead to a rift in the U.S.-Korea alliance should be thrown away, and Ambassador Goldberg should be removed immediately. Now we demand the followings. First, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Since Ambassador Philip Goldberg is in Korea, he must recognize the Korean law, not go against it. Second, a U.S. ambassador is supposed to fight for real human rights violations cases, such as forced repatriation of North Korean defectors, not LGBT rights. Third, the U.S. and Korea have been good allies. Ambassador Goldberg must show respect for our culture and tradition and immediately stop trying to destroy the strong ties with LGBT issues. Fourth, Our country and culture does not approve homosexuality, and our laws do not approve of same-sex marriage. So why do you try to impose American laws on us? The U.S. should immediately stop interfering in the domestic affairs by imposing any American legal standard on South Korea. Fifth, we deeply regret the Biden administration's appointment of a gay ambassador who ignores the sentiment of most Koreans. President Biden must realize the mistake of appointing him to Korea and remove him immediately. Sixth, as strong supporters of the U.S.-Korea alliance with a favorable view of the U.S., we have criticized those who claim Yankee go home. However, any repeated faults in foreign policy undermining the spirit of the U.S.-Korea alliance must be addressed immediately. So we urge President Biden and the members of the U.S. Embassy and State Department to wake up. Seventh, it is a serious diplomatic mistake to appoint a gay ambassador and ignore the opinions of the majority of the Koreans whose sentiment do not agree with homosexuality. The U.S. must not forget its Christian heritage, but return to the Bible and put a stop to the arrogant imperialistic pro-LGBT policy. Last but not least, the Biden administration and the U.S. Embassy in Korea should immediately apologize to Koreans for its pro-LGBT policy and immediately put a halt to this amateur diplomacy which hurts the spirit of the U.S.-Korea alliance that has been firmly maintained for 69 years. Thank you.